Greetings, chess friends. We're going to talk today about trapping pieces in chess. And I was reminded of an old book I checked out of the library when I was little. Can't say if I even finished reading the whole thing, but that was Chess Openings, Traps, and Zaps by Bruce Pandolfini. This is one of those children's books with, looking back, not much content that could be too useful nowadays. But I think with a title like that, how could you resist? Traps and Zaps. So in chess, trapping pieces is a common thing. In fact, that's what all of chess is about, trapping the other team's king. So if you can improve at this skill, it's definitely going to help you. And understand that there's a few ways that pieces get trapped, and each piece some nuances thereafter. But most pieces will get trapped on the edges of the board. Most pieces will get trapped when they're in the corners, or they haven't moved, or their own pieces are crowding around them. And even the queen, we're going to learn it takes a group of your own pieces to trap the other team's queen. It can move so much. So let's jump in, and I hope you enjoy some of the examples today from some of the legends of chess, as I always try to provide high-level examples that can help us the most. Our first example today comes, like I said, from that book, Traps and Zaps. Here we go. This is an easy one, but I think something that maybe might get us on the right path here today. So let's see this center game opening. I don't recommend any of these openings. This is not chess advice. But let's see. Knight f3, queen h5. And let's pause here, as white has actually a surprising winning move. These king pawn openings and early gambits always have tricks and traps, but actually the queen can get trapped. Maybe not our first instinct here, but the shocking move g4 really runs into all kinds of problems with bishop takes f7. For example, here you can play bishop f7, followed by knight g5. Also, you can play rook g1, which essentially traps the queen. So notice all the squares are guarded. So here, good stuff. If they had played, let's say, queen takes, we have, again, bishop takes f7. And a lot of this is based on the queen being trapped. Let's say here they move their queen, then the rook is trapped in the corner. So trapping pieces, nice concept, even in the opening. We're going to see opening, middle game, and end game today. So, and just one point I want to make, that if you think about it, trapping pieces is exactly the goal of chess. You're trying to trap the other team's king. So if you are able to really master this skill, it will help you in all phases of attacking. Let's jump into the most famous trapped piece of all time. This was a legendary moment in chess history. Game number 1 of the most famous chess match of all time, Spassky, Fischer. Spassky is white in this one and doing fine. This is an equal endgame, has been analyzed to the end. But Fischer goes for bishop takes h2, a fateful mistake which cost him the first game of the world title match. And like we mentioned, pieces get trapped on the edges of the board. It's often pawns that can really help with trapping pieces, because if you lose one, it's not such a big deal. And this g3 pawn construction traps the dark squared bishop. Now, I just want to ask a few questions about this. What did Fischer miss? Well, he perhaps thought he could get this bishop out of there like this. But one important thing to note for white is who's really going to take this bishop? It's trapped, can't run away. But who's going to take it? Actually, it's going to be the king. And the game went king e2, and the king just heading back towards the bishop. So the game actually went on quite a few more moves. Takes, 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 and black ends up with 2 pawns for the piece, but Spassky was able to convert that piece to a win. White won this game and eventually, of course, lost the match to Bobby Fischer. Next one here, legendary. Now, I wanted to start with the traps and zaps, then the most famous, but this one, I'll tell you, is the most difficult puzzle of today, in my opinion. We have Tal, and even when you just hear the name, you're thinking, I don't know, sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. But this one, actually, you're looking on the wrong side of the board, because Tal played the best chess move, and it's a shocker, b4. b4, really nice. Notice the queen is running low on squares. Already cannot go to a number of squares. The bishop stares at this one. The game continued here. By the way, black is Larsen, a world-class grandmaster. Rook a3, and the queen is trapped. The bishop uncovers the b5 square. The queen is guarding that rook. The knight is guarding. And I mentioned earlier that it takes a team to trap the queen. We have a whole host of pieces here helping in this idea. Even our king is helping guard this. So actually, really, you're not going to trap a queen usually with a rook. It's just too difficult, too many squares to guard. So it takes a team to trap the queen, remember. Here, again, the best engine move, just take back. And actually, we do end up material here, black resign. However, if you were to take and simply take, actually, white is just up a rook. This one's really not even close for, let's say, for one pawn. Okay, Tal with a really amazing one, and he was so sharp. We always hear that, but here another nice example versus a top player. Here, probably the second most difficult one. So I want to get these hard ones out of the way here. Take a look. This one, there has just been a capture of a pawn here, and again, an in-between move. You think, oh, he takes, I have to take back. No. And Botvinnik, the legend, plays bishop takes f7. Wait a minute, you're giving up 2 minors for the rook? I thought that wasn't really worth it. No, he's backwards knight moves, one of the hardest things to spot in chess, actually traps the black queen. Notice this bishop uncovered, the knight threatens, guards. Again, it takes a big team to trap the queen, but this game goes on a little while longer, and eventually black succumbs to white's advantage. Nice one there, bishop f7. Botvinnik, so accurate. Let's keep going here. Here, American legend Frank Marshall with the black pieces. You don't see a question mark attached to castling too often, right? Usually castling, okay, good thing you didn't forget. But this one actually is quite a mistake. Black to move here. And which piece to trap? Well, there's a really natural move, which is d3. We have this beautiful battery guarding. The knight is also supporting. Wherever this knight moves for white, d2. You don't see that too much. Maybe a rook would be trapped on its home square, but usually not a bishop. A strange situation, a pawn getting all the way to the second rank on move 12. But there it is, and that bishop's just trapped. Simple as that. The game, again, goes on for a little while. They struggle. White struggles on and eventually loses. But that one, I thought, a unique one, okay? I'm not always going to try to give examples that are so obvious you see many times a knight trapping a rook in the corner, for example, but this one, kind of a unique one. Here, one from my own game, actually, and I wanted to point out, again, the idea of trapping a piece. How does it come to you? Well, pieces get trapped on the edge of the board. In my opinion, I believe rooks are the most likely piece to get trapped. They're a little more valuable, so we don't want to lose them to the minor pieces. And they get a little clumsy in a crowded area, the rooks. So here, with this rook guarding many of the escape squares, the bishop guarding a2, actually we started inroads with our king. Black is doing well here, but actually we just go trap the rook and end it. So this game, white was scrambling to pick up some extra material, maybe didn't realize the rook was just lost. So a nice one there with our king. Also good to note that traps definitely happen in the endgame, and you really need to stay alert for tactics in the endgame. You're not going to see a queen sack for mate as much. It'll be more things like this in the endgame. Your king valuable, but don't forget about traps. Here we have another one from a gentleman who is really a legend of the New England area, which is where I grew up. And that is with the black pieces here, John Curto. Recently passed away at, I believe he's over 90 years old, and one of the legends of chess. Anyone who grew up in the area, New England, has come across John Curto, and he really was a dominant force, a strong master for 60 years. So here we go. Black to move, bishop, d4 check. Really, this one is unique because the queen for white is about to get trapped in the center of the board. Usually, we've been saying on the edges of the board and the corners, pieces get trapped. But here, we have a huge team to trap the queen, but it's right in the center. And it wouldn't have worked without bishop d4 check. The queen would have been able to escape. So that was a really cool one. You don't see as much trapping a piece in the center. Any piece doesn't really get trapped too well in the center, but the queen especially. So unique one there, big team for black. Let's keep going here. This one, white pieces, was Grandmaster now Stopa. He was also a friend of mine from university. This one a little bit longer, but I'll go quickly. A unique one here as well, the knight. Trying to participate in the attack, but when all the pieces are exchanged, this poor knight actually ends up stranded. You may heard of those soldiers that kept fighting after the war was over. This knight is just sitting here like, where'd the battle go? I thought I was helping. All of a sudden, all the pieces disappeared. Trade, rook c7, black resigns. Black resigns. The rooks are going to come off, and although the game's not completely over, you're essentially playing without this poor knight. He's still trying to attack when he's the only one left, stranded there again on the edge of the board. And knights do have this quality, a little bit infamous. They can sometimes jump into the position and not be able to come out. So be alert for that. Other pieces, rook, bishop, they can run away quickly, but the knight, sometimes it does get a little stranded in there. White would have cleaned up that endgame. Interesting one here. White is Vasily Smyslov. He was the world chess champion at one time. And he came up with a cool trap in this one. See how you do with this example, white to move and win, trap a piece. Which piece is it going to be? Well, we've been saying it over and over in the corners. Pieces get trapped. And bishop to b8. Again, not a trap you see very often. But if we use our theme or our knowledge of pieces in the corners, pieces that are unmoved can get trapped. Again, rook's probably the most likely piece to get trapped in chess. Then this actually fits all of those characteristics. What can you do but sacrifice here, or like he did in the game, resign? So capture with the rook, we'll take with queen, rook, and it will leave actually white just an exchange ahead, which is pretty easy with a good position. Let's see one last one here, a little bit, again, longer, but I kind of like this one as I found here with multiple themes. So here, actually the best move for black, surprising, and that was a queen sack for rook and bishop. The best move is actually to give the queen right back, and white retains a slight edge. But black didn't see the whole concept here, and bishop to b5, attack pinned pieces. What's really convenient here for white is that with the rook staring at our rook, there's no check type of move. The king here is completely safe from any checks. So that would throw all of this upside down, but not possible here. So king f8, rook takes e8. Really, that was probably the move missed because you don't expect them to cash in with such a good pin. But bishop to b4 check. If the king moves, we just simply take, and that leaves white up a minor piece. He played queen e7, hoping for takes, but maybe he again overlooked pieces in the corner. Bishop c6, pretty easy when you see it right there, one move away, and black simply resigned. They'll be just down a rook. So really a nice example again with multiple themes. I like this one, and he must have seen all this when he played queen takes c8. So really well played here by the white pieces. Okay, I hope this was instructional for everybody. Think about pieces getting trapped in chess on the edges of the board, in the corners, with your own pieces surrounding you. This one also, we should mention the rook had its own pieces really trapping it in. And when you notice those characteristics, try to use your own pieces to get in position to trap or take those pieces, and that'll put you ahead. That's really the goal of chess tactics, forks, pin. It's just to win free points. So trapping pieces is one of those new ways to do it. Okay, great job, everybody. I hope you enjoyed, and keep watching for more chess content.